Everybody, welcome back to Jay's Fifth Down at Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jay, and back together with more football content here, NFL, college. We're going to get to it here in a second, but thank you guys for watching, tuning in. Make sure you check us out here on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We're right there with everything you need to know about the NFL, college, and high school football. Today, we're going to be talking about Alabama. I'm going to be switching gears here a little bit. Going to be, going through the college football world for a second. Can they get back on track? Big loss to Texas. Not Texas, Tennessee. They almost lost to Texas, but big loss to Tennessee last weekend. And just defense looked atrocious. Offensively, they put up 49 points. Bryce Young over 400 passing yards, just a Heisman type game from him, but it was not enough because the defense gave up a lot of yards. So we're going to be getting into that here. My big thing here for Alabama is, this year has been ever since the national championship loss against Georgia. I feel like there is something, within the locker room that's kind of just lingering around on the team, and I don't know exactly what it may be. And, and the problems with Alabama the past couple of years has been the defense, now years ago, you had guys that were just studs, man, just ferocious, especially that linebacking core, with Reuben Foster and all those guys. Even Minka Fitzpatrick recently, a couple years ago, he was there. Trayvon Diggs, right? And over the last couple years since those guys have all gone to the NFL, the defense has been a major issue for the Crimson Tide. And I think until that they solve that issue, until that, they're able to play a complete, consistent game on defense, especially in the back end and the secondary, it's going to be hard to win games, especially, here in the SEC. And they've been able to, with the kind of a cupcake schedule for over the first couple of games, we're able to get by. But once you started getting to the, Texas and then Arkansas and now, then of course Texas A&M also, even though the defense played fairly well for the most part, and you move into Tennessee, that's, those three games were specifically that being Texas and Arkansas, and the game against Tennessee last weekend is where the defense has been slipping. And I think, part of it may be scheme. We don't know exactly what, it might be, but I think just watching the secondary has just got to be better. They got to play better. You got guys that are just busting coverages, and wide receivers are running wide open in the middle of the field. So I don't know exactly what's going on that side of the ball, but in order for Alabama to, they want to get back to the national championship game, they're going to have to fix that. Guys are going to have to get after it, and defensively, you're going to have to just continue to get pressure on the quarterbacks, and be able to contain as well. That's something that Alabama has struggled with recently in the last couple of years, is containing mobile quarterbacks. That's something they have not been able to do well at all, and they've got to be able to do that better. Again, secondary just getting roasted back there. The cornerbacks, you got guys that are out of position and they're not in the right place at the right time to make the play on the football, and not turn their head around. Those different things right there. Those little tacky things are what cost you games. And as well as holdings and pass interference calls. Right, just knowing the game, man, and being aware of what's going on. It just. Playing align football, right? Assignment, alignment, that's decent defense pretty much, right? In the secondary, I know corner's a hard position, especially now with how talented the receivers are getting every single year. It's crazy, but, even then with that talent, you have to, you just have to, you have to play better, and I think until the secondary gets the issues resolved, it won't be pretty for Alabama on defense, and their offense are going to have to win a lot of games for them, so they're going to be relying on that offense. And the offensive line, they've kind of struggled in protection a little bit recently here and there. So I think the big thing for them is they've got to get back on track this week against Mississippi State. Tyler Harrell, the transfer from Louisville, supposedly might make his debut this week. He was available to play last week, but they didn't put him in. So he's a speedy guy they got over from Louisville, transfer, wide receiver. One of those guys that hope you can play that type of Jameson Williams role. Just get down the field and just break down the defense, right? And he's a really guy that can do it. He's fast. He's got good hands, good catch radius. He runs great routes. The speed, and that's why I think looking forward to that this week for Alabama, this is gonna be a get back game. Hopefully Nick Saban, his in his mind, he wants the defense to play better. Just not give up the big plays, man. It's that simple, man. Yeah, football really is. I feel like coaches overcomplicate the game of football, and it makes it hard for their players because football really is simple. It's defensively. Don't give up big plays or touchdowns. They make if they make a catch or whatever, get them down, tackle them, get them down, right? And get them down. Don't give up the big plays. Do not commit any stupid penalties. Don't hold. Don't grab the face mask. Don't do these stupid things. Don't jump off sides on defense. It's those little things that kill drives for offenses and defenses, especially for the defenses. It's 3rd and 10. You jump off sides. It's now 3rd and 5, right? Or you get a roughing the passer call, which has been a very controversial thing over the last couple of weeks here in both the NFL and college football. But still, those things, man, you just have to be aware of. Football is more mental than it is physical, believe it or not. And I believe that, until I don't know, man, Alabama has to get, has got to get their head in the game mentally, focused and, remain aligned and assigned on the football field and, back there in the secondary, especially, because the front four and the second level have been playing pretty well for the most part. Man, it's just the safeties and the corners, right? Corners are getting beat. I just don't understand what's going on. So I think what's going to be key for them to getting this win against Mississippi State is just get after the quarterback, get after Will Rogers, make his life miserable. Just keep everything in front of you. They make it play, get them down. Just get them down. That's just that simple. So that's my little tidbit there. And last weekend was a very big weekend in college football because of that. And now you had these teams jumping up here in the AP rankings. Tennessee is now 3rd in the country. They were 6th, and they jumped to 3rd. Alabama, I think, moved to 6th in the country. So, of course, the state of Alabama went pretty crazy after that, So you had a lot of fans who were pretty pissed about that. And hopefully their team can get a win this week. But, Tennessee, on the other hand, they moved to 3rd in the country. They get the win over Bama. And, Jalen Hyatt, 200 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns. That can't happen if you're a defense. You can't let that happen. There's no way a wide receiver should. And Hyatt is very talented, but there's no way a receiver should have over 200 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. That's just bad. It's bad defense. It's bad tackling. It's bad coverage. It's just not being aware of what's going on, not being in the right place at the right time, those type of things. Just Nick is probably killed his secondary players about that. He's like, man, there's no way this guy should have over 200 yards receiving, and there's no, and he shouldn't. And don't get me wrong, again, Jalen Hyatt is a very talented football player. He's going to make great plays at the next level, and he's doing a great job for Tennessee this year. But there's no way that a guy should have over 200 yards receiving. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Alabama's defense is that their biggest problem this year? I think it is. I don't know what exactly is going on, what the issue is, but they got to get it together. Otherwise, when they get in, further down the line to the season here and talking to the playoffs, you just got to get it fixed, right? So. That's my big thing right there for college football, and that's why we love it though, man. It's so unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. You got teams like Kansas and Tennessee just winning games. I'm telling you guys, Tennessee is going to make a lot of noise, come here in a couple months. I don't know, man. They're a team to definitely keep an eye on. But switching gears to the NFL, we're going to preview the Cardinals and Saints playing tomorrow on Thursday Night Football. The Arizona Cardinals, New Orleans Saints. DeAndre Hopkins, after being suspended for 6 games for PED use, will be back on the field for Arizona. For Kyler Murray, they just traded for Robbie Anderson from the Carolina Panthers, so you get somebody else to fill in that role for Marquise Brown, who was hurt. He's going to be out for a while this season with a foot injury. So I'm looking for the Cardinals right here to just continue to have a balanced attack. Get the ball to your playmakers out in space, and defensively, just keep everything in front of you, man. And just get after the quarterback, right? Andy Dalton's probably going to start, so get after him. Because the Saints haven't been playing good football this year. And so for both teams, really, this is a get right game. For the Cardinals especially, because they have been struggling this year. They lost 19-9 to the Seahawks on Sunday, and they're on a short week, so it's going to be very key for them to get this win here. And Kliff Kingsbury as well. I mentioned this a couple of times before, especially before the season. The Kliff Kingsbury is on the hot seat for the Cardinals right now, and if he doesn't get this ball rolling here, that the offense does not get some type of consistency and flow, that I think he's going to be the next coach that's going to get fired. We already saw Matt Rule get fired from Carolina, and Kliff Kingsbury is not that far behind. And Nathaniel Hackett as well. We'll get to that later, but Kliff Kingsbury is a guy. He came from college, Texas Tech. He comes here to the Cardinals, take over a franchise that had kind of lost a sense of direction. And for the first couple of years, they were okay at best. They went 11-6 last year. Were 7-0 at one point in the year, and then they started dropping these games. Went 11-6 last year, made it to the playoffs. They got destroyed by the Rams in the wild card. So at some point, the switch has got to flip for Kyler Murray and Kliff Kingsbury, and the offensive play calling hasn't been good. They're just not, there's no fluidity to that team. It's just the organization right now. I don't know. Arizona's just kind of in a bit of a dog. What's the word? They're like in quicksand. They're stuck. They're in quicksand. That's still a good word. They're in quicksand. They're stuck right now, and they just don't. They're just having trouble figuring out where they're going to head from here on, right? And so I believe it's going to be key for them to get this win, be physical, play good football, get your ball in the hands of DeAndre Hopkins and all those guys, Robert Anderson, who they just traded for, so that's going to be important as well. He's a guy you bring from Carolina. He's had his issues with the team, hasn't really produced since his first year there in Carolina. So he's a guy I'm looking forward to getting the ball and getting going there versus that Saints defense, which has not been all that good this year. So it'll be a very interesting football game. Might be the best Thursday night game we get this year because they haven't really been all that good this year. We've had the Broncos, the Colts, the Commanders, and the Bears. It's like, what's Amazon's trying to kill us with these games, But the good thing is it's only on Prime. So if you don't have Prime, you don't have you can't really watch it. So that's the thing about it. And versus if we were on Fox before, but I just really hope the NFL please get some better Thursday night football games and some better Monday night football games because past couple weeks haven't been that good. So, but yeah, definitely, and I truly believe that this year there are some teams. The NFL is really compacted this year. You have a lot of teams that are 3-3 right now through the first 6 games of the year. Obviously you got your Eagles and the Giants who are kind of ahead in the divisions, right? But other than that, there are really no teams that are jumping out right now. The Packers aren't playing that well, but in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3-3, tied for the Falcons to lead in the NFC South. So, it's the NFL is very close this year, and we, I talked about it before with Nick Winkler on our podcast here before. But this is you love this if you're a football fan, right? It just creates some kind of it's parity in the league, and you want this. It makes the game more entertaining. A lot of teams fighting, right? They're fighting, and it's what you want to see, and what makes the NFL so great, But moving forward, I believe a team that nobody's talking about right now, and they're 5-1 through the first 6 games is the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to give some credit here to the Vikings. Kirk Cousins, guy, he's your serviceable quarterback. He's going to come in there and make the right plays for you most of the time. Dalvin Cook, amazing running back there. Defense is really good. Justin Jefferson, superstar wide receiver. Adam Thielen, really good receiver as well. And all the rookie head coach and Kevin O'Connell, his first year as head coach for the Vikings. He's just, they're finding ways to win. It's not been pretty. It's not been the best football, but they're finding ways to win. They're scoring points. They're getting the ball in the hands of their playmakers, and he's still learning on as he goes, right? So the Vikings are 5-1 right now. They're leading the NFC North against, with the Packers and Bears aren't really providing much threats, either. Neither are the Lions, even though the Lions have played really decent this year, but still no threat. I believe the Vikings will end up taking the division this year because the Packers just look, they look awful. So Minnesota, I'm gonna give some love out there to the Vikings. So all my Vikings fans out there, good, shout out to you guys for sticking through some rough years, and now 5-1 through the first 6 games. Now we got we still got a lot of games left to play this year in the season, but so far, Minnesota's look very impressive. Defense is still getting after it. They look impressive. They're only getting better week by week. And so those are the things I'm looking forward to as we move along throughout the season here. But again, you guys can catch that game between the Cardinals and Saints Thursday Night Football tomorrow night on Amazon Prime, only on Amazon Prime. So if you don't have that, you gotta sign up for it. That's the only way you're gonna watch the game. Again, it might be the best Thursday night game we have this year. I don't, it's because you guys definitely catch that game. And of course, Sunday, a full slate of another great Sunday of football games right there, Week 7. And and more news. Dak Prescott is expected to play on Sunday, returning for the Cowboys against the Lions. So they're hoping to have him back. Cooper Rush has been holding down the fort for the most part of the year, even though he struggled against the Eagles, turned the ball over 3 times. If the Cowboys have got to get back to, running the football, and we're using that hard play action, and Dak Prescott, yeah, he's a $1 billion quarterback, $1 million quarterback here, but he just hasn't been on the field a lot, right? And the thing is, he's a guy. Hey, we're paying Dak all this money. He's been on the bench. He's been hurt the last 2 years. Like, Cooper Rush is coming here. He's won like 4 games as a starter. And so that's the thing. Like, a lot of Cowboys fans are like, hey, what's going on here? They don't shut that down real quick. Dak is a great quarterback. He's not a superstar guy yet. I don't know if he's ever been at that level. Don't think he will be. But he's serviceable enough for that offense. You got CeeDee Lamb. You got Noah Brown, who's emerging as playmakers on the outside. Michael Gallup's back. So it's going to be very key for the Cowboys to get this win against Detroit here on Sunday, kind of get some kind of rhythm going in a very tough NFC East division, minus the Washington Commanders. But, you got the Giants, who are 5-1, the Eagles undefeated 6-0, who just beat the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. So if Dallas wants to stay in this race, they're going to have to get this win against the Lions on Sunday, and they're hoping to have Dak Prescott back for that matchup. So something to keep an eye on there. His timetable was about 6 weeks, and it's been about 5.5. So we expect him to suit up on Sunday for Dallas. But thank you guys for tuning in to Jay's Sit Down the Football Podcast. That's all we got for you guys today on the show. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe, check us out here. We're on every podcast platform, also on YouTube. Subscribe, check us out, share with your friends, and we will see you next time.